America took me up on that. He went on the 10-day DL. So I'm going to recuse myself from this. I like Fernando Tatis Jr., but America, go with your heart because I'm cold on MVP picks unless Judge comes back on fire. But the 10-day DL in a 60-game season is just a killer.
All right, we'll stick to the NBA, which you are very good at. We will talk about that. Drawing a blank, Rockets will be without Russell Westbrook when they open the playoffs against the Thunder. Russell still nursing a quad injury. We're on a first-name basis. Look for Houston to lean heavily on the beard. So, Nick, a first-round exit for James Harden would mean blank.
I don't think it's going to happen, but if they were to get knocked out in the first round, I believe it would mean a massive overreaction from ownership. I am fairly certain that if they get knocked out in the first round, they're going to have a new coach next year. They might either way, as D'Antoni doesn't have a contract. And I would be worried they would be making other major changes in Houston if they get knocked out in the first round after a very tough draw with OKC and if Russell Westbrook's unable to play. Now, Antoine, I believe Harden's good enough to where even if Russ doesn't play, the Rockets can win this series based on Harden's brilliance alone. But if they don't, I think it's going to lead to a pretty big overreaction in Houston.
I think it's going to be a lot of changes. I kind of agree with you, Nick. I think, one, you're going to fire D'Antoni. You're going to have to get a new coach to play. And then you're going to have to really look at the roster and wonder how much value does James Harden and Russell Westbrook have throughout the league. When you look at the Rockets, they have no young pieces on that team. You may have to blow this thing up and start getting some draft picks while these guys got a lot of value. I think the Rockets are probably, they had Golden State a couple years in a row. They couldn't get by them. Chris Paul has an injury. Russell Westbrook looks like he's not going to be 100% playing through the playoffs. They just got bad luck. And I think the small ball, shooting the threes, is probably wore itself out. So if they don't get there, it's going to probably be over for them.
That's what I said, Antoine. I said the end is small ball. If Steven Adams comes in here and starts looking like Wilt Chamberlain, I think everyone's going to look around and be like, oh, rebounding. Turns out that matters. So I think it would be the end of small ball and some front office changes as well, Jenna.
All right, moving on. The Heat-Pacers series tips off tomorrow. All eyes on Jimmy Butler and T.J. Warren as their feud continues. But Butler recently said, what feud? The beef between them is dead. Not sure Jimmy knows how to sell a series. Nick, Butler saying the rivalry with Warren is dead is blank.
It's accurate for now. And I think it'll remain accurate because I think the Heat are going to win the series. But T.J. Warren can get this rivalry or this feud fired right back up with one 35-point game and a victory. The problem is Jimmy Butler and the Heat have owned this matchup. And T.J. Warren has struggled mightily in the bubble and outside of the bubble against Jimmy. So I agree with one of Kevin Wilde's BFFs, Jimmy Butler, that right now the rivalry is dead. T.J. Warren and the undermanned Pacers, by the way, the banged-up Pacers, could change that, but I don't anticipate that they will. So I think, Antoine, it's accurate for now.
This is a true statement. I think Jimmy Butler is 100% correct. And the reason why I look at the last game they played, if I'm T.J. Warren and I got the green light, I'm going to shoot more than 14 times. I just got to get that ball in the air 25, 30 times. I'm going to take it personal against Jimmy. But unfortunately, Jimmy's one of the best. And Jimmy's one of the better defenders in the league. I got to give Jimmy Butler's credit. He's probably the top 3 defender in this league. And I don't believe that T.J. Warren's offensive package is good enough for him to be able to dominate Jimmy Butler. Doesn't handle well enough. There's some things offensively that he doesn't have that Jimmy's just great at defending. So I think Jimmy Butler is right about this. This is probably dead.
Okay. Is this part of the narrative, do you think, Nick? That it's like Jimmy Butler, it's sort of like the battle peaked and now it's going back down. It's going to come back up because this is just terrible media from a very media-savvy guy to be like, hey, this big matchup, it's dead now. We're not going to talk about it anymore. So I'm hoping that this is part of Jimmy's master plan, that it's going to be like resurgent, like The Undertaker, and the battle will keep going.
See, like
I'm not happy if this rivalry is dead.
Like, how much, America, you want to know how much Wildes loves Jimmy Butler? He's also assigning to a media savant and storyline creator, in addition to starting shooting guard. He just loves Jimmy Butler.
It's a non-story story. It's a double negative. On to the Blazers. After their play-in win, Dame Lillard became Dame Dalla as he dropped a surprise EP. He's a multitasker. I'm a multitasker. We're so the same that way. Nick, Dame Dalla dropping a surprise EP from the bubble is blank.
It's not going to age well. Listen, I understand this is Dame's moment, and he deserves it. But 10 days from now, when the Blazers have gone home, and we're like, wow, CJ did 11 podcasts during the playoffs. Dame released 2 albums.
This guy.
That's intriguing. That's an interesting development for a team that lasted 5 games longer into the postseason than the Warriors are going to. I mean, and so listen, the media is so funny because look into the crystal ball. Here's what I see. I see Damian Lillard's season ending in the first round. James Harden's season is going to end in the second round of the Lakers. And guess what? James is going to be called a laughable failure, and Dame is going to be called one of the next faces of the league. Because we just decide, guys, the level of success they need to have for us to congratulate them. Dame's part, the moment, is relatively low. Harden, who we're talking about blowing up the entire team and trading him a few minutes ago because they are second best players injured and they could lose in round 1. It's just totally double standards here. And so, but I don't think releasing this EP is going to age well, Antoine, when the Lakers are up 3-1 going into Game 5.
I'm different, Nick. I think this is great. I think this is great for basketball. I mean, you got to think about it. They're in the bubble, Nick. They don't have a lot of things to do. They're without their family. You know, this guy's playing unbelievable. So he's not, wasting time rapping and not performing well. He's doing both. And I like Dame. I think Dame could be a very, very good rapper. We know it's hard to be an NBA player and a good rapper, but I think he's very good at it. So I like it. I think it's great. It keeps his swag going. It keeps his it just keeps him going, keeps his swag going. Probably, keeps the team hyped. So I like it. I think it's great.
Jenna, what was that old person app? Remember, you could take a photo of yourself and age. That's just what happened to Nick Wright. He broke out a take from the mid '90s, whoa, if Shaquille O'Neal worked on his free throws instead of releasing albums with the Fushnik and see where we would
exactly what you did, Nick. You know you did.
That is not what I did. Focus on running the high pick and roll. Get out of the studio. That's exactly what just happened. Nick. You just turned into an old man. That's the oldest man take in all of takes. Go ahead.
Okay, allow me to be clear here. Whether Dame releases 11 albums or none, the Blazers postseason is going to end the same way. I'm not